Video demonstrating how to make a two-layer sign. So our two-layer sign requirements are 5 by 11. It doesn't matter if it's 11 tall or 11 wide, just your total square inches used cannot be bigger than 5 inches by 11 inches or 11 inches by 5 inches. You're going to have two signs essentially that you're going to create. So in my video, I'm going to walk you through how to do this. So step one, you're going to download my file that I'm going to have for you, which is the one that we're going to be looking at. By using the file that I provide for you, you are going to be resetting a lot of settings in the program because this program seems to misbehave every time somebody new sits down and uses it or logs on. It's doing something a little bit different. So the way we can combat that is you use the file that I provide you. A lot of times that erases a lot of the problems that you're going to have, which is wonderful because we don't need extra problems. So this project, you are going to have two signs that are put together with rivets. A rivet is like a screw. It's a fastener that holds something together, like a bolt. Probably more like a bolt than a screw, but it holds it together. But the rivet is not going to come off. It permanently attaches it. So we're going to have you're going to have a back item, and it doesn't have to be 5 by 11. It can be up to 5 by 11. So for my example, I have created a 5 by 11 box. Here in the corner, I can look up here. It is 11 inches wide by 5 inches tall. Okay, that's my backdrop. What I want to put on top of it is, and I'm going to hold down the Alt button and click S. That turns on the show fill, or turns off show fill, because it goes back and forth. I'm not going to do anything with these fish at the moment. Talk about them here in a minute. I'm going to use this object. So this is what's going to go on the front of my sign. So I'm going to have, we'll say my back piece of metal, it's going to be pretty simple. It's just going to be a rectangle. I'll make it probably a dark blue or a black color. And then I'm going to put this on the front, and this will be a brighter color. It's going to pop out because it's a different color. And we're going to, here in a moment, we're going to put a hole on this bar in the front that goes across. And then I'm going to show you a way in this program. There's other programs that probably do it easier, but on this program, I'll show you the way that we're going to get that hole to line up with the hole that's on the back. So that way, when you cut this out on the CNC machine, it's going to have your alignment holes already there. You'll probably still have to take a drill to it, just because the plasma cutter is not going to cut a very smooth hole at the size that we're going to be working with. But at least it'll be an alignment hole that is there ready to use. And if you forget to put the alignment hole on there, we have a drill. It's just going to be more tedious to get it to line up perfectly and everything come out nice and square and straight because you're not doing it with a computer controlled machine. So before I weld all of this together, I do want to talk you through how I got to that point. So I'm going to hold down Alt S again. I downloaded this object. So let's see if I can pull that up. Clip art mountain. And I believe I did something like the silhouette and found one. Oh, there it is. So I right clicked on it. I did save image as, save it to your flash drive, which is what I did. If it's not a JPEG, you'll need to bring it into Paint. How you do that, if you can't remember, you go down to the bottom, you type in Paint, and you're going to File, Open, see if I can find where I, oh, well, it'd be helpful if I plugged in the flash drive that I saved it on. Probably the wrong flash drive. Anyways, you guys get the idea here as I move forward. You're going to open up the file and then you're going to do File Save As, and then you're going to save it as something else, which is going to be a JPEG. And sometimes JPEG images, they work right off the bat. Sometimes they don't. There it is. I had the wrong flash drive plugged in. So File, Save As, JPEG. I'm going to save it right back to this, but so that way I know which one it is. JPEG onto the pink flash drive, save. And I don't need this anymore. I can go back here, go File. We're going to acquire the image, scan it in Trace Wizard. Date modified. There's the JPEG. It's titled Clip Art Mountain JPEG. That's what I just titled it. Next, I have to move this a little bit. Usually you don't want to change it from what it starts as. You're just looking at crispness of it. I like it about in the middle. This one you can go with complex with details, or one of the other options. You can kind of play around with that. I'm just going to go with complex with details, so it brings in the details. Hit apply, and there I go. There's my object. Move it out of the center. Don't miss the step here. I got to come up here to the top. It says retrace and finish. I'm going to hit finish. Retrace brings you back to change the settings if you want to mess around with changing the settings. Okay, so now that I have my object, any object, you can't just use it as is. You can see here, I'll make this a little bit larger so it's more apparent on your guys' screen. The grid in the background is not showing through where I have all this white space. That's because this white space is actually not empty space, it's something there. So I need to come up here, go to Arrange, I need to break the path. Now, if I hit Alt-S, I can see that I have a bunch of different objects here. I don't know that the plasma cutter is going to be able to do all this kind of detail, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. I could reshape it to make it a little easier for it to keep. I think that my mountain range kind of looks mountain rangey there, so I could probably keep it, or I could hit the back button. And to edit these things, I could go ahead and double click on it. It brings up all these nodes. Oops, clicked out of it. Let's try that again. Double click, click once, click again. I think, triple clicking. And I'm accidentally clicking on the background, so let's go ahead and move the back out of the way. I'm going to highlight what is in a white layer. We don't deal with layers with the CNC machine. The laser machine deals with layers. We're not doing that for this machine. So I'm going to make that the black color so it's easier to see on the background. And I can go ahead and start changing the amount of detail that the machine's going to try and cut out. So just by loosening up the detail, I think it's going to be more likely to be able to produce still that snowy effect that it has, but with less detail, so we have less problems or less cut loss. I think that's probably pretty good right there. So then I can try and get the shape back where I wanted it. Use the Alt-S button to be able to see to center it if you moved it like what I just did. Then I can highlight the whole thing, and I'm going to go to the weld command. A lot of people are not using the little picture here to try and interpret what it's going to do. If you do this first one that shows things being welded together, it's going to weld my mountain with the snow on it together. It's not going to put the snow as a whole through it to where it's going to show up on the plasma cutter. This one is going to leave what overlaps, so it's just going to be the snow essentially in this case. And then this XOR weld is the picture is showing that what's overlapping or on top of each other is going to disappear. That's the one that I want. Please think through those three options. I'm getting a lot of questions about which one's the right one. Well, one, you can experiment and use the back arrow a bunch of times if you need to, or you can look at the picture, and the picture is pretty self-explanatory. This warning says welding more than two objects or past may generate unpredictable results. Okay, let's hit OK. It worked. If it didn't work, I'd hit the back arrow. Note with using the back arrow, this arrow right here, this undo button, which you can also find up here in the edit. You can do undo and redo. If I save this file, exit out of it, and then come back to it, I can't go backwards any further. It starts you from that point where you open the file. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to get rid of this mountain. I'm going to shrink this one down that I've been showing you how it works with. I have my mountain selected. I'm going to hold the shift button, and then I select my bar that's in the middle, and I'm going to click C for center. It moved the mountain to the center. It is important to note that my bar that I'm using is 11 inches, and it's only 3/4 of an inch tall. So the 11 inches is so that way it matches from left to right on my back object, the background to my whole thing. I'm not sure how big the mountain can be. I'll go ahead and make it pretty big, and I'm going to click C for center, and I'm just doing a simple welcome sign, pretty generic, and then I can put it on here and we're good to go. However, my mountain is too big. Not that big of a problem, right? Because I can change it fairly easily. If I do this, I'm going to make my mountain look kind of funny, I think. But I'm going to use up the width a whole lot better. So I think I'm going to leave it a little bit squashed looking. Your picture might not have the opportunity to do that. I need to make sure before I do any weld commands here with welding my welcome onto the bar, I need to make sure that my object is overlapping the bar. So here's my center bar, and then here is my object I want to weld to it. They're overlapping. Same thing for all my letters. When you're doing letters, you need to check all your letters. Not all letters are created the same size. Depending on what font size you're using, you might end up with everything being good except for one or two. I'm going to go ahead and weld them together. So I welded everything together here. Turn my show fill back on. So this is what I have. My last step is to create the holes. The requirements for this is that you need to have text, you need to have an object, you need to have the two layers. The two layers need to be wire wheeled on the back so that way they can squish together. You need to be very thoughtful with how you wire wheel too. I'm not going to be able to wire wheel this top edge of the mountain. There's no way. It's looking really thin and I haven't even measured it. So to measure something, I'm going to go ahead and create a small circle and let's make it 0.2. And remember that this proportional scaling button, I can turn it on to where it keeps things scaled. If I wanted to squish it here, you can still do that, but when you're adjusting things up in these numbers, it's going to keep it proportionate for you. So I need to hit the back command. Okay, and now I'm back to this being 0.2. So 0.2 is a pretty good reference. Anything that is 0.2 is going to be safe. Meaning there's going to be enough metal when if the plasma cutter, let's say if you have 0.2 between a line here and a line here, you're going to have no issue if the plasma cutter runs on this side of the metal and then it comes back and makes a cut over here. There's plenty of metal here that there's going to be no issue. You can do less, but you're getting into the realm of hopefully the plasma cutter is shooting straight that day, because it doesn't give you a whole lot of room to work with. Can it work? Yes. Is it risky? Yes. Can it fail? Yes. 0.2 is your safe mark. I think on this, It's most of my circle. It's over half of it. It's going to be really skinny. There's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to do any wire wheeling on the top of this, which should be fine. I'm going to rivet it down here, and I'll be able to wire wheel all around here. So that way when we rivet them together, it's going to be nice and smooth. So I think I'm going to be okay with this design. If you don't want to risk it, go with a simple, bigger design. That's all there is to it. Okay, so now to get the locating holes put into position, I'm going to move my box out of the way. I'm going to put this at the 0 coordinates, and I'm going to talk you through how we're going to make a hole. So I'm going to grab this circle because I already had it made. We want the circle to be 0.125. This is going to be almost nothing, virtually nothing, which is what we want for the rivet. The drill can make it an exact circle, but we want to get it located. So here I'm going to, I can't use the center command because my letters on the bottom and my mountain on the top don't put my bar in the exact center. So that's not going to be helpful. So what I'm going to do is just simply, I'm going to measure with the ruler here. I want to be about 1/2 inch from the edge. Okay. And actually, I can get this exact. If I click on this middle node, it's grabbing anything that I click on. It's telling me where the middle of the node is right here. So I'm going to click on my circle. The middle of the node is 0.5. Awesome. I know that that is 0.5 up, and my sign right now is all the way at the bottom. When I put this on my new sign, it's not going to be all the way at the bottom. It's going to be centered in the middle, so that'll change, but don't worry about that. And I am 1.67 or 69 from the outside. Let's make that an easy 1.5. Oh, nope, that was Y command. I was thinking that was the X. I'm going to undo what I just did. I don't want to move that one because that is my height. That's actually the one that I wanted you guys to pay attention to. So I'm going to copy that just so that way I don't forget that number, which I'm likely to by the time I get to that. Let's go Control D, duplicate your circle, put it in roughly the same spot that you have it, just on the opposite side. We're going to go to that Y and make that the exact same that the Y was on the other side. Hit enter. And then with this X, for me, I know that right here on the edge of my design is 11. So 1/2 inch in is 10.5. So that's exactly 1/2 inch in to the center. This is good. So I have this set. So now I have a couple opportunities and a couple ways that I can do this. Right now I haven't cut the circles through. You could cut the circles through as one option to move forward. But before I do anything, I'm going to duplicate, which is Control D or Alt D. It is Control D. I hit the wrong command like 3 times in a row. It is Control D. So I have this over here. I can't mess it up. It's got the circles. Now I can move this out of the way. Careful to grab the circles and the outside so it doesn't mess up. Come up here. I'm going to click the bottom left node. So that way I know this goes right to correct coordinates. To make this easier on myself, I highlight my entire object, including those circles. And I'm going to do the X command or X coordinate of 0. That throws it up against the left side. I know my right side's the exact same. And then I can use my up and down, and this is just looking at it. I don't want to use the C or E, C for center, E for even, without having everything welded because it's going to take the circles, throw them into the middle, of whatever direction I'm trying to get the middle. Right now it looks pretty good. I'm centered fairly good on the top and the bottom, equal size gaps. So this is awesome. This is what I want. I'm going to click on my mountain. I'm going to delete it. That leaves me with these holes being right where I want them. Then I highlight this and I'm going to do the XOR weld, same error mess or welding message that pops up, and it just welded. So now let's turn the show fill on and off, which also show fill is up here in view. You can do show fill, turn it on, show fill, turn it off. So this is set, ready to go. Now I can take this and I can do the same thing. I'm gonna go ahead and weld it through. Now I have my object ready to go. If I was going to, and why I left these fish here, if you're going to do something with an animal or something like that, you really got to think about how detailed you want it. Because the more detail it has, the harder time you're gonna have, or the more problems you're gonna have over at the CNC machine. So we're looking at a bluegill, and when I zoom in, this is a super simple bluegill. It doesn't have very much detail. An 11 by 5 requirement for the size, with being under that, is pretty small for that machine, so you're not going to be able to put a ton of detail like the fish that we have up on the wall behind my shoulder here. Those are much larger. We can add the detail to those because the plasma cutter can cut out the detail on something much larger. This is such a small sign, it can't do the detail. And side note here, it looks like when I click on one, it's got both of them. That means that I did not break the path before I walked away from these. So I could do, instead of a mountain, I could end up putting a fish, maybe just a giant fish right in the middle of my sign or something. Just giving ideas for how to be creative with whatever type of sign you're wanting to make. I could make two fish, one on top of the other one, and one's just slightly bigger. You can do this with a lot of different things, and then I put some text into it, maybe put my name or somebody else's name into it. If you're not sure what to make or who to make it for, it's always nice to think about others and use this assignment to create a gift that you can give to a family, friend, teacher, or something. If you know that you're probably not going to hold on to the sign, don't just make something just to complete the assignment. Make this as an opportunity to pay it forward, do something nice, show somebody that you're thinking of them and things that they are interested in. A big encouragement for you to do that. I'm going to move my objects over here out of the way. And by the way, you guys will have this document here to use. These fish are fair game, mountains fair game, but you got to change something about it. Okay, if you're going to use what I've provided for you here, you got to change it substantially. Be much easier just to go get a different object. There's so many different objects out there. And when you are looking for objects, remember to type in clip art or silhouette, like so fish clip art, fish silhouette. If you can get rid of all of the color or designs or anything on the inside, you're making your job much, much easier for everything. So with this, we're going to cut these objects out individually. We can create the toolpath with them together. So online, basic cut. This is the biggest thing right now to get right. 100. This has to be 100. If you bring it over there and it's not set at 100, it's probably not going to cut out your object. And you're going to ask, hey, why didn't it cut all the way through? It cut most of it all the way through, and then it didn't cut like the straight parts or the long straight pieces it's trying to cut out. It didn't cut it out, and it looked like it was going really fast. What it's doing is it's defaulting to something else that we don't want, and then we can't control the speed. If you set this to 100, we can control the speed over there, and we can slow it down, which is how we run it. But if you don't put in the feed rate, we can't slow that down. So it's going to go as fast as it can, which means it's not going to be able to cut all the way through. So I've made my toolpath, so now I need to go to View, Show Toolpath Only. So now I have my two toolpaths. Let's make sure, get this back into 0 coordinates because the toolpath is a different shape and size than our original object. And then I go Machine, Output. I'm going to hit Cut Now. So 2-layer sign, Raby, back piece. Make this make sense. So many people will forget their flash drive out there and or lose what file they made because you're not describing it enough in the file name. Describe it. Describe it well so that way in a year, 2 years, if you're still taking welding, you know exactly what's on your flash drive because maybe you want to come back in and buy an extra one of these later on to give to somebody else or just to be able to have another one yourself. And if you save it correctly, you make your life a whole lot easier. So I'm going to click Save. And I'm going to move this guy out of the 0 coordinates. And I need to go back to View, Show Toolpaths Only. Let's put this at the 0 coordinates for X and then Y, just up and down. Select it, Machine, Output, and Cut Now. And then 2-layer sign, top piece, Gravy, and save. So now I can walk away from this computer. I want to file, save. If you've already saved it, saving should be the first thing you do. To your flash drive, then you're good to go. Now I can go over and I can use the CNC machine, and there's already videos that you guys have been using to set that up or to turn on the CNC machine if it's turned off still in the morning, or you're the first one to use it that day. That video shows you how to get it turned on. If you have any questions, please see me for any details.